This has got to be the Spider-Man game that I have heard the least about.
It's also the only one in this list that I haven't played. But
That's it. No one
after
talks about this. No one mentions it. Nothing.
no. And the weird thing is I've watched a playthrough of this game and I feel like that was enough.
And there's almost no difference, really. Um, so, Beanox, after the success of Shattered Dimensions, was made the lead Spider-Man developer. Okay, fine, right? Shattered Dimensions was a fun game. It sold well. Cool. So they made a pseudo sequel.
It's
I don't
never
know if
con-
this is a sequel
it's never confirmed if it was an actual sequel to Shattered Dimensions, but they treated it like one.
because it kind of. I think they reference the other Spider-Man like in passing,
Yeah.
so I want to say it is, but I'm not sure. This game focuses on a Peter Parker, regular normal Peter Parker, and Miguel O'Hara. So we went gone from 4 to 2. Fine. Why these two? I don't know. For some reason, these are the two they went with.
Probably because they didn't want to do two Peters.
Yeah. So
And Miguel and Peter in the comics do have a relatively decent history with one another.
this time, Josh Keaton voices Peter, and then Christopher Daniel Barnes voices Miguel, and I think he does a lot better as Miguel than whoever did it in Shattered
Yeah.
Dimensions.
I still think he's a better noir than 2099, but he's just too good of a voice actor for me to harp on it too much.
He honestly is a really good voice actor.
Yeah. And then Josh Keaton is like my 1A, 1B favorite Spider-Man voice actor, so
I think Yuri Lowenthal is mine, personally.
Yuri and Josh Keaton are interchangeable to me. I've always described it as this. Josh Keaton is the teenage Spider-Man, but then his Spider-Man grows up to be the Yuri Lowenthal Spider-Man.
That's okay. I can see that.
So,
Uh,
like I said, they're
this
interchangeable to me.
this game, um, first off, I think this is the only game to feature Anti Venom, to my knowledge.
It's the only non like mobile game to feature him. Yes.
And I think was Anti Venom was relatively new at the time, wasn't he?
Oh, what year did this game come out? This game came out in 2011. He was
Yeah.
probably about 3-4 years old at the time.
So he was a relatively newish
Yeah.
villain. But if I remember correctly, there aren't a whole lot of villains in this game.
Not they're kind of like twisted versions of villains that are already because I know that Ock plays a big role in this game. Anti Venom plays a big role in this game. I know that the 2099 incarnation of Black Cat, which is entirely new for this, by the way, is a very major character in the plot for Peter
Yeah, she is.
specifically, but that's it.
Yeah, and then you have the main villain who we'll get to later because that's a plot twist I admittedly didn't see coming.
And I don't like it either.
It's it's a thing. So this game starts with Peter dying.
Yes.
I think Anti Venom killed him,
Yes.
and Miguel's like, "Nah, we can't have that." So, but then like this weird thing happens where the timeline gets altered, and Peter works for Alchemax. Okay, sure. If I'm 100% real with you guys, I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. I have played this game once, and that was 12 years ago. So my memory on this game story is a little bit fuzzy. But regardless, Peter works for Alchemax in this game for some reason. Okay.
It's mostly like a twisted reality where
Yeah.
Where Alchemax was an established power. Because if you've never read the original 2099 books, Alchemax is scum. Just putting it lightly.
Yes, they are.
So this is totally on brand for them.
But like Miguel tries to warn. Miguel's trying to save Peter Parker's life. That's like why he's
Yeah.
there. And like they make a link with each other, and like Miguel's whole thing is he's trying to prevent Peter from dying because I guess it causes craziness. Dude, I don't know, but
Yeah, it's basically Miguel's trying to set the timeline right by having Peter work with him, and I think it works. And this kind of goes into one of the issues I have with this game, just watching from the outside, and why I don't think I missed anything. Is that I wonder if they took the criticism of Shattered Dimensions having no plot a little bit to heart, because this game seems like it's more story first and gameplay second.
Yeah, basically, because the gameplay is almost copy paste Shattered Dimensions, but much more boring.
Yeah, I was about to say they somehow made Shattered Dimensions. Like, I don't think Shattered Dimensions gameplay is boring, but it was very simple.
And a big
this
thing
game
that helped.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's like this game somehow made it more droll because it doesn't have the unique environments, and because it takes place inside the Alchemax HQ
like
building.
The entire game.
So like every level looks the same, and it's boring.
It's very boring. There's web swinging is almost pointless. You have to wall crawl a lot. The enemies are the same and they're boring. There's only like 3 bosses, and one of them's almost a ripoff of Monster Rock.
Yeah, that's just. I wonder if that's what that was a reference to.
It had to be, but it's a lot less terrifying. It's called the Atrocity.
There is one cool thing, and it's a very nice attention to detail with Miguel's lore. He can actually fight Anti-Venom without any worries about being killed.
Yeah, because I think he does beat up Anti-Venom at one point.
Because I explained Anti-Venom to you specifically before.
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
But Anti-Venom's power is basically, because he's a symbiote warped by Mr. Negative, instead of eating people like the regular symbiote does, he purifies unnatural causes in the body. And because Spider-Man's abilities are radioactive, it's considered an unnatural alteration to his body. So the anti-symbiote can purify his spider powers, and that's why he died, because he basically turned him into normal Peter Parker. The difference between Pete and Miguel is that Miguel's powers were basically a rewriting of his DNA.
Oh, so it wouldn't. Okay.
So scientifically, his powers are natural. So Anti-Venom has nothing to purify. And that's a very nice little attention to detail, and it actually makes that fight kind of fitting.
Well, because Miguel's the one who had to beat Anti-Venom because Peter can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that they actually acknowledge that, because a lot of people have this misconception that his is radioactive also.
He's not, no.
No. His DNA was completely rewritten, so he is biologically half spider.
That's wow.
Yeah.
But there's a plot twist later on that the main and Walker Sloan, I think his name is, is actually Peter Parker. I think.
Yeah.
Like he actually is like another Peter Parker, which what? Which fine, okay, Peter Parker's the main villain, whoop-de-doo. But Peter Parker doesn't defeat Peter Parker, Miguel O'Hara does.
I'm upset that Pete never directly interacts with this guy.
No, because Miguel's the one who beats him.
I mean, that makes sense given Miguel's story, but not having Pete be like, dude, what the heck happened to me?
Yeah, honestly. And it's weird too that in a Spider-Man game, 2099 gets the final boss.
I mean, in their defense, this game was almost written to mostly be a 2099 centric
But to
game.
say this, if you talk about just the story, Miguel is very clearly the main character.
Yes.
Like, Miguel overshadows Peter in just about every aspect of this game's storyline. So I almost think it would have been better if this was just a 2099 game.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
honestly,
I would play a 2099 game.
The entirety of Miguel's lore and his world of Nuova York and everything could definitely carry a game on its own.
And it's almost like they wanted to do that, but didn't have enough faith in 2099 to sell, so they threw regular Spider-Man in there.
But I mean, the game does have good interaction between the two of them. Their chemistry is amazing in this game.
It is, but if we talk about story significance, Miguel very heavily outweighs Peter Parker. And the story, I hate to say it, it's a better written story than Shattered Dimensions.
It is.
But it's not as fun. And I barely remember it.
I think it suffers from the problem of it's a story that could have been written better if it was like half the length. It is stretched out to an unbelievably thin degree that by the time you get to the end, you're like, this could have ended like 4 hours ago.
I think there's a scene where Miguel saves MJ too, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because they put in these little things where Pete finds out about stuff that happens in the future, and he begs Miguel to switch it. So that causes Miguel and Peter to basically have to divert their attention to something else when they were like right at the finish line of getting to their main objective. And
even he's annoyed.
Yeah. Miguel and Peter annoys the crap out of Miguel in this game.
He does. He really does.
It's like they stalled for time. There's filler in this game. I don't know how that's possible.
It's like Digimon Ghost game for half the game because there's no plot and it's going anywhere. For those of you who watch Digimon Ghost game, you know what I mean.
And then there's this whole subplot that Pete has to deal with Felicia being like a roboticized like clone of herself. And she's basically vengeful towards him for leaving her to die on her own or something that he has to deal with repeatedly.
It's weird, man. Like, and on top of that, you have that weird atrocity thing that's just kind of there.
Yeah. Anti-Monster Rock.
Yeah, honestly. And you know what I don't get about that? If he couldn't beat Anti-Venom, how did he beat this thing?
I don't know.
Because the game said so.
Yeah, because the game said.
All right, sure. But Miguel defeats fake Peter, and yay, the day is saved. Is this the last time these two voice Spider-Man? I want to say it is.
Hold on, this game came out in... Give me 1 second. This game came out in 2011. And this game came out in February. Yeah, because MVC3 came out earlier this year. So yeah, this would be the last time that Josh Keaton voiced Pete.
Oh my god.
Because I was wondering about MVC3. Because MVC3 came out in February 2011, and this game came out in October.
Yeah, so this is the last time they voiced Peter. They both voiced Spider-Man. Oh my god.
They've both been in other things involving Spider-Man, but they never voiced him directly.
Wow.
Because Josh Keaton is actually Electro in PS4.
Oh yeah, he is. That's funny.
And Christopher Daniel Barnes was Electro in Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon.
Was he actually?
Yes. Ironically, they've both voiced Electro also.
Oh my god. I've heard that show's not great.
It's not.
Oh, good. Now let's talk about the gameplay. It's really, really, really boring.
It's like they took Shattered Dimensions gameplay and made it overly even more repetitive than Shattered Dimensions was.
And a big problem with that is because you're only in this one building. You're in this one building the entire time. And it's visually boring. And the enemies you fight are the same. They never vary. You don't really have to do a lot with Spider-Man's abilities, honestly. They don't take a lot of advantage of Spider-Man's abilities at all.
No.
Like, oh yeah, you wall crawl sometimes.
I think the only major difference is that, other than the fact that they kind of control the same than they did in Shattered Dimensions, they only have one major unique ability that separates the two of them. So I think Spidey gets like a bullet time mode, and Miguel is able to form like illusions of himself, I think. But those don't really help.
No, they really don't.
They're more puzzle solving abilities and combat abilities. Which,
it's not like in Shattered Dimensions where every Spider-Man felt unique. And here they almost feel the same. Miguel has some free fall sections, but that's about it, really. Neither of them are really anything to write home about. The boss fights are just kind of there.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the soundtrack to save my life.
Which just sucks because Shattered Dimensions had a genuinely good soundtrack.
Yeah, it did. This one, couldn't tell you. Graphically, it's about the same quality as Shattered Dimensions, but because it's all the same building, it gets really boring to look at after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Miguel looks cool. Like, I like Miguel's suit in this game.
Yeah, it's basically. Did you like the aesthetic of Miguel's levels in Shattered Dimensions? Well, the whole game looks like that.
Honestly, though, and to be fair, a lot of people say that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the worst Spider-Man game.
No. Like, Amazing 2 has its fair share of issues, but at least when it's going well, it is fun.
This game isn't bad. It's just boring.
Yeah,
and that's like, almost worse.
It's like the most basic of basic games.
Because I'm like, I'm in like a bag trying to figure out what to talk about here. And we were both having this conversation before this video. We were like, what are we even going to talk about?
I mean, I feel like for someone who hasn't played this game, I've said, because that should tell you everything you need to know, that I've watched a playthrough of this game and I felt like that was enough.
Like, because I have never had an interest in owning this game.
No. I mean, even back then, because I'm somebody who buys just about anything that has Spider-Man's name on it, and even this game deterred me from getting it when it came out.
I had GameFly, so I rented it from GameFly, and it did not blow me away. I have a friend who says this is one of his favorite Spider-Man games, and I'm like, how, bro?
I mean, maybe if Miguel is your favorite Spider-Man, this game could be enjoyable to you, but...
I mean, if you're a big 2099 fan...
I mean, I am. I like him as a character, but it just doesn't do anything.
No, it really doesn't. Like, if Insomniac made a 2099 game... Oof.
I mean, I've been begging Rocksteady to do a Batman Beyond game, and that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just...
I mean,
this is
popularity with the Spider-Verse movie. Maybe the Insomniac would take a shot on it.
That's true, because he was a big focus of Into the Across the Spider-Verse, rather. So, but this is the Spider-Man game I hear nobody ever talk. I don't know anybody who really talks about this game except losers like us who make YouTube videos about Spider-Man games.
I mean, it just the only reason why we're talking about it is because it is on the list of things we agreed to talk about.
Otherwise, I probably would have just skipped it. Like
if there was one game on this list that we would tell you to skip, it would be this one.
Honestly, there's more merit in playing Spider-Man 3 just because the opening mission is stupid.
I'm
gonna die. Now, don't misunderstand. This is a way better game than Spider-Man 3. But
Spider-Man 3 is one of those. It's bad to the point where it's actually entertaining.
Like kind of like Sonic 06.
Yeah.
This is more. If I want to compare this to a Sonic game, I guess it's more like Sonic Forces.
Yeah. You played it, you don't remember what happened, and you move on with your day.
Honestly, yeah. This game was also expensive to find nowadays.
Yeah.
So if you really want to play it, watch a playthrough.
Does this had a 3DS port?
It's the same exact game.
Are you serious?
It's the exact same game, yeah.
And there's a DS version.
See, the DS version I know nothing about. I know the 3DS version is 1-to-1 the same game.
Because that is something that the next game, Amazing 1, the 3DS version is just that game but without the open world.
That's the Wii U version, I think.
Wait, the Wii U version didn't have the open world either?
No.
Are you serious?
So dead serious.
That is actually depressing.
We'll get to that game next time because I think we'll have more to talk about there.
I'm shocked that the 3DS version of this game was this. It probably ran and looked like crap.
I mean, probably, but it was the same game.
That I need to look at gameplay of that, and then I want to see how that looks.
That might almost be more worth it just to get a 3DS version of it. I'm not sure.
I know, because then it would have charm being on the 3DS.
Yeah, exactly. But next time, we'll be talking about the Amazing Spider-Man, not the movie, but the first game. So I think we'll have more to talk about there.
Because I honestly like that game.
I'll say I have mixed feelings about that one, but
yeah,
we'll get to that when we get to it. Until then, I want to thank you guys so much for listening to us talk about almost nothing. This is probably the shortest one.
We did what we could.
Honestly, though, like, does this even have unlockable costumes?
It does, but they're just the most boring things.
I love that.
Because they're mostly retreads from what costumes that the 4 characters in the previous game had.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're deliberately just stretching out the length of this video at this point. So,
yeah.
Have a good one, guys. Take it easy.